Good morning, buenos dias. I hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. Welcome to Cafecito con HACE and happy Black History Month. Please drop in the comment section where you are tuning in from and use this opportunity to network, to engage with one another in the chat section, the comment section. My name is Patricia Mota, and I serve as president and CEO of HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the community of Latino talent, providing our community the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. And we have a few key things to get you help continuing to evolve with your careers. So whether you are a entrepreneur, our Mujeres de HACE Entrepreneurs program is currently accepting applications. If you're looking to get to that next level in your as a full-time employee, we have some opportunities such as our Mujeres de HACE, our Latina Leadership Program is currently accepting applications for the spring. And then HACE Colores, which many of you may have heard before, is our inaugural LGBTQ cohort that's getting ready to launch this year. And lastly, for students, we have a program for students, high school students, our El Futuro High School program that's focused for students out in Arizona, specifically the greater Phoenix area. It's a free program for students to gain career readiness, gain tools, and access great mentors across the country. And so that's all for my HACE commercial. I'm super excited for our special guest today, who is Tyronne Stoudemire, the Senior Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion at Hyatt Hotels Corporation, longtime friend of HACE. And I'm super excited for many reasons to have him joining us today, but also 8 years ago in February, Tyronne helped HACE launch our inaugural CDO Roundtable, our Chief Diversity Officer Roundtable, hosted at Hyatt. And so I have to thank you, Tyronne. I call you the padrino or the godfather of our CDO roundtables, because here we are 8 years later, 16 roundtables later. So thank you and good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning and happy Black History Month to everyone. And thank you, Patricia and HACE, for inviting me to celebrate this morning and be with you today for this wonderful opportunity to connect early morning over a cup of your drink of choice.
Over a cup of, so with that, this is Cafecito con HACE. So we like to start off with our guests asking, what is your morning beverage of choice?
So since June of last year, I've been on this whole health kick and well-being. And so I moved away from caffeine, and my drink of choice has been H2O, just regular water, to start off my day with warmth.
That looks like a different kind of bottle, Tyronne. It doesn't like H2O.
It's
But it's water.
It's water. It's water. It's one of our new vendors. So we're very proud of that.
Wonderful. Well, Tyronne, you have such a rich history, been a longtime practitioner in the DEI space. Like, one of the things I love about our cafecitos being able to showcase leaders like yourself. Share with us your background, how you got to where you are today.
Thank you. And I've been on this journey for, 30 years. So I've been out there for a while. I began my professional career at Hewitt Associates, which was an HR consulting firm in HR based in Lincolnshire, so about 40 miles outside of Chicago. I was in operations doing call centers and benefit administration and record keeping for many of Fortune 500 companies, health and welfare, defined benefits, and 401k. And our former CEO, Joe Gifford, God bless his soul, um, asked me to come over and work with Andreas Tapia in diversity. And that started I knew nothing about diversity. I really didn't really understand. I knew that I was a person of color, but didn't really understand how to fit in and uniquely of that. But I learned to trade under Andreas Tapia, who's now at Korn Ferry, an author, just a great leader in all sense of the word, and worked very closely with IC as well.
Yep.
We began to do the work, and we had three pillars. One, we wanted to focus on advancing women and people of color in senior level roles. How we show up in the community and to attract a certain type of investor. And within the first year, we hit all three of those goals, ball out the park. One that I'm most fond of that was really eye-opening for many of individuals were we were moving from a private company to a public company. And one of our largest stockholders was Ariel Investments, president and president, Melanie Hobson and John Rogers. So headlines, one of the largest outsourcing consulting firm, number one stockholder was a minority business. Right. So it was a great, I will always remember and treasure that moment, which had an impact on DNI because of their longstanding commitment to making sure that it was a world was a better place to work for everyone, Black, white, Latino, Asian, gay,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they get to do that. Then Aon acquired Hewitt, and I stayed on for 2 years, and then I was recruited out of Hewitt. My dear friend Orlando Ashford, who at the time was the president of Mercer's talent division, and asked me to come over to help develop the evidence-based diversity strategy, leading with the analytics and the predictive analytics. And I was commuting from Chicago to New York from Sunday to Thursday, right? So it's very exciting. Now traveling, I'm working. Everybody thinks travel is really great to work. I got all the highlights of that, so it was really advancing my career. And about 2 years into the opportunity, into the job, my boss Orlando Ashford called me and said, "Hi, I want you to come work for them." And so I moved back, and I was again, actually, in all due respect, um, well, travel was great, but I thought if I worked in the city of Chicago, it would limit my travel. Little did I know that I would be traveling even more because HACE is a global company. We're across more than 70 countries, almost 200,000 employees, 70 to 30 brands under the master brand. So enormous amount of growth. So it still kept me on the road. I would say 80% of my job is outside of Chicago and about 40% is outside the country. So I have evolved and grown and learned. But one constant thing is that, working with people, right?
Mm.
People. I've learned a lot of other cultures, other backgrounds, and I've also determined that race is also kind of within the United States is really challenging for us. We look at the
Yeah.
issue, find the issue, and it's somewhat a default. I believe that we're more similar but different, but our different lives and our cultural backgrounds. So the more we celebrate our cultures and acknowledge our cultures and teach one another, I think it's great. I often say, and I posted on LinkedIn just the other day, as many people talk about heritage celebrations, I believe that heritage celebrations such as Lunar New Year, Black History, Latino, Hispanic Day month is really created by the minority for the majority to have an experience otherwise they wouldn't have. We know
Mm.
people of color. I'm Black 365 days a year, right? Hispanic, mixing with those cultures for all of life. We celebrate, but we all use opportunity to educate them to eliminate from stereotypes and labels that we put on other people just based upon what we see on social media, what we may see on the
Yeah.
news, or experience that we may have that's good, bad, or indifferent. So that's my
I love that. I love that. And I know you have there's a video that we'll drop in the comment section that shares more about Tyronne's background. And so we encourage you to, we'll drop that in the comment section so that you can also check that video out because Tyronne, you have such a rich just professional background and just history, but also it's very rare to find someone as long as you have been at an organization in your role,
Mhm.
right? But also practicing and going at it for 30 years. And so I think I have a lot more questions and wanting to know, right, like what keeps you going, right, for so long in a space that has been so challenging. And folks, I know you tuning in, you may have questions, so feel free to drop them in the chat. If we don't get to all the questions, the video will still be here, and so we can always get to it later. But anything you want to add, because I know I have more questions for you, Tyronne.
Sure. I talk about, what motivates me, what keeps me going is the people, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
able to be a voice for those who don't have a voice, right? Those who may have an idea or a concept or a thought about something, but not able to articulate it, right? When we talk about diversity, we talk about the things we can see and some things we know, but, being extroverted and being introverted is also a part of diversity.
Yeah.
More introverted people may not be comfortable with speaking up or speaking out, have to process and think about it. Me being an extroverted person, whatever comes up comes out, right, wrong, right? And so being able to stand in the gap for others. The success that I've had at Hyatt and as a practitioner is the consistency of our board, our chairman, our board, our CEO has been at Hyatt for 13 years. So I work with the same leader in diversity. And oftentimes he's pushing me and challenging me. We got to do more. Let's be creative. Let's be, disruptive, right? So it really comes from the leaders of an organization coupled with, I'm a bottom down, top down, bottom up kind of squeeze the middle manager concept. Our colleagues who really care about the organization and our purpose is to care for people to be their best. We believe that empathy plus action equals care and care is contagious. So being one of
Mm-hmm.
the oldest and largest corporations in globally, we employ probably more women and people of color than anyone else, right? So we have a unique opportunity to really go deep in those jobs understand cultures, celebrate the cultures, and grow. When we talk about a recent acquisition of ALG, Apple Leisure Group, right? But most of those vacations are in the Caribbean and in Jamaica, Mexico. They're cities where the dominant culture is Latin and Hispanic. The dominant culture is Black in Jamaica and Bahamas. So again,
Mm-hmm.
having that opportunity to really celebrate and make sure that our products and our solutions and how we show up at the hotel is included,
Yeah.
right? So
And I
those
want to ask you more about that and how you're creating these safer workplaces. But one thing I did want to also just point out that you mentioned regarding these celebratory months like Black History Month, like Hispanic Heritage, right? AAPI. Is the same thing as what I love to say that we do at ASTA as well. We have a mission and there's data that says that the need that we serve the mission. We welcome everyone to be a part of ASTA, right? It's about creating that awareness and providing that education and support for all to be able to excel, right? And so I wanted to ask you about your Change Starts Here that was launched at Hyatt. So the latest DEI report shares how Hyatt is creating safer, healthier, comfortable workspaces for all. So how would you advise other companies to act in creating an equitable, inclusive workspace?
Tricia, that's a wonderful question, and I think we're similar. Again, some of we are different lives and our culture backgrounds. Our culture is care, so we build on that, right? Our
Mm,
purpose is to care for people to be their best. That's a part of our DNA. So if I go back in Hyatt's history in 1967, at the height of the civil rights movement, when Dr. Martin Luther King was attempting to have a combined lunch with blacks and whites, they had secured a hotel. Hotel kicked them out. We don't want your
mm,
business, right? We don't want you here. We want you to go. As they were digging the hole for Hyatt, Martin Luther King says, I hope this hotel does right by us. And we did. We invited them in to
mm,
have their celebrations. We've been celebrating that for more than 60 years. It was the first hotel with the revolving restaurant, the tallest building downtown Atlanta, with the glass elevators, and the first to really develop women and people of color in senior level roles. We've carried that into today. Corporations either reacted or responded to the death and murder of George Floyd. As we all sat at home watching televisions and then on the internet, we saw the injustice of um, of a black man being murdered in broad daylight. Now, for us people of color, we see that all the time. George wasn't the first, neither will he be the last.
yeah.
But the response from our white counterparts was a little different than that before because they saw it. Then we saw the injustice with Asian hate. We saw, the disparity in healthcare with black and brown people. People actually, I don't like use the word woke, but they woke. They woke up and said, we have to do something to close it, to respond to this, right? And so we were already on our journey looking at increasing representation of senior level roles, partnering with Opportunity Youth within globally, and then also working with suppliers. We were already down that, but what it did was it elevated and gave us more focus. And so we have three goals: who we employ, develop, and advance, who we support, and who we buy from. Who we employ, develop, and advance. It was actually how do we increase more people of color and women in senior level roles. And this was a global assignment. In the United States, we focus on race and gender. Outside, it's actually gender and orientation and religion. So it's different in different countries. But we looked at globally as that we had data to show us that we had the market share of women in our industry. How do we identify those women and work with those women? Culturally, women have, and I say this, that there's stereotypes and archetypes. Stereotype says we all behave the same way. Archetype says we have a tendency. Women and people of color, particularly Latinos and Hispanics, have a tendency to come to work every day, work extremely hard, keep their heads down, and trust that their employer is going to do right by them. Right? You're going to come, you're going to see my hard work, you're going to know that I'm a leader, you're going to advance me. Did not pan out very well. We're still struggling with that today. Women will say, I
Mm,
need more education. I need to wait till my children graduate college. They had all these things that they wanted to put in front of them that did not feel they were not prepared. Versus white men that says, you know what, I might not be prepared, but I'm going to give it my shot. I'm going to get in, I'm going to give it the good old boy try, I'm going to move ahead. Right. So it's in looking at those things and making sure that we're removing barriers for women and people of color, shifting the dialogue from equality to equity. And I
yes,
used
yes.
to say that we've been practicing equality forever. The jobs are posted, everybody can apply. We're all the same. I don't see race, I don't see gender, all those types of things that somewhat marginalize and minimize certain groups. But we all come into this work at a different place, at a different time, with different skills. And so I use illustration in some of my training, is I use illustration of a family of four going out for a bike ride. They all have the
Mm.
same bike, the same height, the same seat, the same wheels, etc. But the kid who's about 5, 6 years old can't touch the seat, can't get on the seat, nor can he touch the pedals. The mother's riding very comfortably. She has her hat on, her safety hat on. She's riding very comfortably, but she's concerned about her child's safety in front of her. And when she looks back, her husband, his knees are hitting the handlebars. He's bent over, he's uncomfortable, and didn't want to go for the bike ride anyway, right? He was resisting. And then she looks back, my God, my daughter's in a wheelchair. She can't even get on the bike. But we gave them all the same thing. We were fair. We were, we were equitable. But it's shifting, right, to equality and making sure we make the right bike for the right size. So having conversations about how we attract, engage, develop, and promote women and people of color, in this case with Hispanic Latinos, right? They're the fastest growing demographic next to people with disabilities, right, in the marketplace, right? So how do we engage and understand the uniqueness of this
Yeah.
and shift from minimization into acceptance, into adaptation, adapting and adopting? I have been close to ISA for a while, probably pretty much all my professional career, serving on the
Hmm.
advisory board, getting very close, partnering on the round table for chief diversity officers. We have to partner. We cannot do this individually. We have to stand collectively and do this work together.
Yes, yes. Getting the right size bike, meeting people where they are, right, is equity and so critical. I feel like we can go on forever, Tyrone. I have, and so I know folks are tuning in. You see a lot of engagement in the comment section, and so we encourage everyone to, they have a question or a comment to drop it in the chat. But Tyrone, I do want to ask you regarding, I mean, we are celebrating Black History Month, and I know you, with your leadership and Haya, have made some significant strides for your Black leaders, your Black population, and you all have made some significant financial contributions through the Change Starts Here grant program, strengthening underserved communities. And can you share about that work a little bit more?
Absolutely, and thank you for asking, and thank you for the
Mhm.
compliment. We look at diversity and inclusion. We're looking at all demographics across the
Yeah.
board. We look and make sure that we're being equitable in that space, particularly with our again, happy Lunar New Year. We celebrated Lunar New Year yesterday, and now we're celebrating Black History Month on the 21st here in Hyatt. And knowing that our DBRGs are designed and created by the minority for the majority to have an experience that continues to go on in the work we do from DNI perspective. So everybody's engaged and involved to learn along the way. When we look at our Rise High program, which is a phenomenal program, and of course I'm biased, but this is our response to opportunity youth around the globe. Looking at youth
Mm.
between the ages of 16 and 24 who perhaps didn't graduate high school and perhaps didn't go on to college, we feel we can meet them where they are. If they have the right attitude, we can develop and move them along the continuum through Hyatt. I've done this work in HR for quite some time, working with multiple organizations, and many struggle with succession planning. I think that Hyatt has one of the world class succession planning in place. You can go from doorman to car porter to
Love
um,
that.
washing dishes to be a GM. We have history
Love that.
station, so you can see your path. But it's about having the right attitude and being able to serve people. You've got to be a unique person to be able to work in hospitality. You got to, one, like people. Two, you got to be willing to serve people, and that's got to be one of those difficult jobs because people and humans and human beings are pretty challenging as just the norm. But I think this is helping. So we've committed to hire 10,000 youth between 16 and 24 by 2025. And we're right over the halfway, probably more than 5,000 that we've done so far. So Jessica Schultz, who leads that body of work for us, along with Monique Pillington, for our foundation, we identified a handful of organizations that we've granted for the next 3 years $1 million to help them to find the youth and work. We're not in the business of youth. So we have to
Mhm.
partner with that organization. So one example would be Black Men Labs out of Atlanta, where they convene youth between 16 and 24 every week at the Andrew Young's YMCA, and they
Mhm.
talk about youth. And so, this going back to together, there's Black and Brown youth in that category that goes to that particular YMCA to be a part of the Black Men Labs. So be able to get those youth, work with those youth, and accelerate them through the organization. So we've seen much progress there, and this again globally. We see it in Africa. We see it in New Zealand, in Asia, in Amy Swa, where we see the traction where kids are just left to their own devices. Parents could be in
Mm.
prison or knowing their parents are being raised by their grandparents. This gives them a sense of hope and a sense of purpose, right? And we embrace those youth and get very connected with those youth. So we're looking really good. Now, as anyone else, COVID took a spike there. Now we're rebuilding back from COVID, but that's a wonderful program. Then we look at looking at our suppliers. So we looked at how we were spending with different suppliers, wanted to increase the awareness. We have been for probably the last 4 or 5 years sponsoring the Urban League's entrepreneurs gathering here at Hyatt. Where we give them space, we come, we have speakers to talk with them, they share their barriers. And one thing I'm so proud of was time to pay. Many
Mm.
what people call it businesses could not survive with net 30, I mean net 60, net 120, and then late paying that. So we've reduced our net pay and had tremendous amount of success with helping our vendors getting paid on time so they can grow. One example would be an African American female in Baltimore sells bamboo toilet paper.
Mm.
Her toilet paper, Patricia, that our guests are filling it off the cart, they tell me, right? So we was able to give her a 2-year contract and help her with some financing, and she's been able to grow her business tremendously, right? Laundry service and night cleaning services, and some of these individuals were employees that went out and
Wow.
did businesses that were able to employ with Hyatt. So again, these are proud
That's
moments.
life changing. That could, for individuals and their trajectory in their lives. So, as you all can probably tell, we can go on and on with Tyronne, and I'm happy that you'll be able to join us for the CDO roundtable this April. We do have to wrap up. I know we've got some questions and great comments, but again, we will share these with Tyronne and his team. Um, we have to wrap up, Tyronne. What are you most looking forward to for 2024?
I am looking that we all come together, right? And we exercise our uniqueness,
Mm,
celebrate our uniqueness and our power and strength to move forward, that we leave no one behind, right? Each of us are
mm,
given 24 hours a day to do what we will. We do something good or do nothing at all. For the next 24 hours and this next year, I encourage everybody do something good for someone else. Be
mm.
kind to yourself and be kind to others. Make the world a better place to live and a blessed place to work for all of us, and we will reap the great benefits.
Thank you for inspiring us this morning and thank you for all that you do, Tyronne. And we appreciate your time. And I know all of you joining in continue to engage and dialogue with one another, and realize the ripple effect that doing that action that Tyronne mentioned has upon the world for everyone. And so thank you again, my friend, and to all joining us. Hasta la próxima. Until next time. Take care.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.